Bună ziua, sunt Bogdan Alecu și bine ați venit la o nouă emisiune ZF Cum Construim România, realizată de SIR-ul Financiar și CBRE. Discutăm în continuare despre retail, dar la nivel european, să vedem cât de importantă este România și cât de multe investiții mai poate atrage, nu doar în construcții noi, cât și în refurbishment, pentru că avem deja un stoc de retail, un stoc comercial destul de mare la nivel național, iar o parte din acesta cu siguranță mai poate atrage investiții în modernizări. Din acest motiv îi avem invitați alături de noi astăzi pe Luiza Moraru, Head of PM Europe Business Development și Head of Central and Eastern Europe Property Management și pe Marek Noetzel, directorul operațional pentru NEPI Rockcastle, cel mai mare proprietar de mall-uri din Europa Centrală și de Est. Bună, Luiza! Hello, Marek. Thank you for joining us both.
Bună, great to see you.
Bună, thanks for the invite.
Excellent. So we have our connection. Marek, you're in Poland. Luiza, you're in the Netherlands. This is an international talk show right now. So thank you again for joining us. First of all, Luiza, you're in Amsterdam now. You're in the Netherlands. How do you see from up there the region when it comes to investments in retail and commercial properties? What's the trend? What's the trend here, and how Romania is following it or setting it?
That's a very good question. So first of all, thank you very much for the invitation, and it's great to be here, and it's great to be in such a lovely company next to Marek. So I think the first thing that we need to say is that retail is definitely back on. We can see at this moment a very interesting trend. A lot of transactions are happening. Transactions from 20 million euros to 200, 300, or even higher tickets. So there are. Retail has become again a very interesting investment product. This happens because, obviously, because of the operational resilience of retail, and also because of the many opportunities that asset managers have to increase the performance of the assets. So retail is definitely not dry. It's something that offers a lot of opportunities, and this is something that has been already happening quite a lot in the past 6 to 12 months. And this is something that anecdotally we believe is going to continue quite significantly in the future. This is also a trend at the level of Europe, but this is also a trend that is mirrored quite the same in Central and Eastern Europe. And also what we have on top of that is that the quality of the product that you will be seeing in Central and Eastern Europe, and I think Marek can talk a lot about this because they are a living proof of that. The quality of the product in retail in Central and Eastern Europe is really, really good. We have new product. We have shopping centers and retail parks that have been developed to the latest trends. We have very good tenant mix, and the performance is quite strong. So this means that these are very interesting investment products.
Thank you, Luiza. Marek, the same question for you. What trends do you see now at this level, Central and Eastern Europe, and how does NEPI Rockcastle want to set the trend? What would you like to implement? How do you plan to attract customers in your shopping centers?
Of course, thank you. It's a very good question, and we have been known for being big believers in the story of CE. As you know, we are invested in 8 countries, and we are active, which has been proven by our recent acquisitions last year in Poland. But not only that, we are busy with lots of refurbishment extensions, and one of them is very close to your hearts, I'm sure, because this is Promenada in Bucharest. Mm-hmm. So this is where NEPI DNA is, which is we were big believers in retail, despite, let's say, the headwinds of e-commerce or lockdowns during COVID-19. We always believed in one fundamental thing, which is that human beings are social animals, and as long as that remains to be the truth, we will have a reasons to socialize in whatever form, and retail and leisure would be one of the reasons for people to move out of their homes. And as much as we are happy with the development of Zoom and Teams because of COVID-19, that will not replace the way we live and we socialize and spend our free time, although it helps for the occasions like that to have a call and meet you and talk about interesting topics. So this is number one. So if we assume this is true, then all the rest is just function of believing in our fundamental strengths. And we believe that CEE still offers higher growth opportunities relative to Western European peer countries or the States, because the estimated growth is double or triple the speed at which rest of the say Western world will develop in the upcoming future. And part of the growth is, of course, consumption. And we are very much exposed to consumption market, and seeing what we observe, which is low unemployment, increasing disposable income, maturing retail markets, we are big believers that there is a bright future for retail, and that is expressed by the interest of newcomers to the market. Like you can see new tenants in Bucharest opening, but the same happening in Warsaw. And the tenants, as we speak to them at the international level, they are very much interested into entering CE. And even more importantly, they would like to speak to company that they can build up their story for the growth for upcoming years. And well, look at us, we have 60 shopping centers, which each of them can host newcomers to the market. So we became like a platform for our retailers to develop, but that hasn't been built overnight. As Luiza mentioned, there's a lot of quality of it. More than ever, location is the prevailing rule for the market. So what we try to do is to focus and put our money or our investors' cash into the locations which are dominant in the catchment areas, in big urbanized areas, developed cities, in order to prevent for them long-term value, and then being able to create on that and improve the quality of shopping centers, because that only then enables us to do what we do to Promenada Bucharest, for example, which is not only extension, which is not only introducing new functions like hotel, swimming pool, offices, etc., but that includes as well fine-tuning of existing building, fine-tuning of its operations, of its look and feel, and of its tenant mix. So it's a bigger project, and we do similar projects across the region now in Arena Zagreb, in Arena Budapest, in Bonarka Kraków. So we are very busy. We like to say that all our properties will have or are undergoing some sort of modernization, and this is the truth about NEPI.
Talking about Romania, for example, how often or at what details do you look when it comes to consumption power, buying power of the economy? Because, for example, these days actually, the government is talking about increasing the VAT, adding more taxes or increasing them. Do you think this will affect the traffic in your malls, for example?
Of course, any new decision by the government that would limit the purchasing power of the customers will, one or the other way, translate into the willingness to consume. But then it's a bit more complex than that, because we still need to dress, we need to eat. Maybe we don't have to go that much to cinemas. This is yet to be known. But I have been in the market for over, it's 25 years now. And I have seen 2008, 2009, I have seen ups and downs. But there's one fundamental rule, and that is that we are in long-term game. We are not to be distracted by short-term roadblocks. And one of them is increasing cost of living. Of course, this happens. It's function of the fiscal priorities of government. And I have seen that before, and that will happen in the future. But if you think long-term, then you know that as long as you have, like you have in Romania, young society of people who want to live their lives in Romania, and they want to spend their life there, and they want to start their families. So the long-term horizon is in the country where they were born. then it lays very strong fundamentals for our thinking about where do we invest resources. And we are big believers these things, of course, always happen. You can't live in a low tax environment for too long, but we have been there when COVID was there, when the cost of utilities have exploded for our customers as well. But that really hasn't translated that much into consumption, and we need to see what the future brings. I think that increasing taxes will happen, but if they happen in the economy, which is growing at 2, 3, 4%, different story. If you're talking about increasing taxes in the economy that increases year on year by 0.5%, that's totally different story. And I think we are still on the safe side with the fast growth economies.
Mm-hmm. What's your estimation? How fast should, for example, Romania or Poland, or Romania and Poland should grow each year for us to be a performant economy, to have a nice performance?
From my perspective, each year our economies grow at 2, 3, 4% on average for last number of years. So it's a bit matter of high base, statistical base. So the bar is higher every year. I mean, it's very difficult statistically to grow 3 to 5% every year for 30 years. It simply is a function of mathematics and the scale at which the economy can grow fast, and then it starts to grow slower, but then the economy normally should move from emerging to mature, like Poland did. So I think that on relative basis, there should be a faster growth for Romania versus Poland, because simply Poland have experienced fastest growth for longer, and it's now considered by FTSE 40, for example, as mature market, developed market. Romania is still emerging, but very fast emerging. So I think the economy will simply statistically be catching up with Polish economy, so it should be growing faster. If you ask me for a number, it's very difficult to say, but I would say anything that you see between 3 and 5% is super good. Above 5%, okay, probably too fast, because it may create inflationary environment, and anything below 1 would probably be disappointing. This is my kind of stomach feeling based of 25 years of statistical following, but I would be happy to hear what Luiza has to say, being from Bucharest, living in Amsterdam, though.
I share your opinion that everything between 3 to 5% is absolutely exceptional. But I also want to say that consumption is probably one of the fundamentals of both our economies in Romania and in Poland. And we can see that sales, in CBRE, we managed 2 million square meters of retail in Central and Eastern Europe, which gives us a big database at looking at trends in terms of footfall in sales and looking at how the consumption actually performs. And we can see that although in Western Europe there is a decline in consumer sentiment, and it's a little bit more difficult to attract people to the shopping centers. And actually in Western Europe right now, in Q1 2025, you see a decrease in footfall and in sales overall. In Central and Eastern Europe, the situation is fundamentally different. We have recovered really, really well after the pandemic. We have probably the strongest growth in terms on the European landscape, and the numbers have kept high during highs and lows of performance of economy. So I'm actually a strong believer that as long as we stay clear of inflationary policies, we have still very good markets for retailers to perform in.
And Luiza, how capable is Romania, for example, to attract investors, not only to build from the ground up, a greenfield, but also to have transactions in this sector? Because if I'm not mistaken, in the last 2 years, the commercial sector has attracted the most investments in our area in real estate in Romania.
Mm-hmm. As I mentioned earlier, the quality of the product that we have in Romania and in Central and Eastern Europe is really good. Also, as Marek said earlier, it's a very interesting market for retailers. We had in 2024 99 new entrants to the CE market, which is actually never seen before kind of number in the region. So the fundamentals of the product are there. Performance is good, traffic is high, quality is good, and these are things that speak very highly to investors. Now, this being said, retail investment is picking up quite a lot, and I think we have pretty much everything that we need in Romania and in Central and Eastern Europe. Yields have remained relatively stable in the past few years, so I'm very optimistic on looking at the investment market. What we can see from an investment market in Western Europe, which I think is a trend that is going to also translate in Eastern Europe, is that the first comers are companies or the people that believe a lot in retail right now are actually the funds that have retail already. So that they understand the product and they understand its potential. And I think this is very, very important by saying that as long as you have an asset management opportunity, the product will become very interesting for a certain type of investors that are now very active across the region.
Would we see some lower yields in transactions?
I'm absolutely convinced that once the market becomes more and more liquid, the yields are going to compress, yes.
Thank you. Going back to NEPI, Marek, how's the tenant mix changing in 2025, in 2026? Because you also brought some new names in your shopping malls in the last year, for example, especially in Romania.
It's by our choice as well. We are a company that is very much interested in introducing new tenants. We are not super happy about too long leasing contracts because they leave us less flexibility yet. Maybe it increases our risk profile, but I'm very interested to go after the tenants which are the most successful now in the market. They are most sought after. I'm not interested in sitting on 15 years old agreement with the tenant which is no longer bringing value to them all. We are all customers and we are used to fast changes, and real estate in a way must keep up with the pace, although real estate is known for longer term and shorter and smaller changes, yet there we are. So we always are following the trends. We speak with tenants a lot. Just to put it into perspective, we do every year on average 1,300 leasing agreements. It's either new tenants or existing prolongations, etc., etc. Mm-hmm. And why I mention that? Well, we are in constant contact with all of the tenants. We know what's in their home. We know what their strategy is, and they have amazing data to build on their future. Then they know where the market is going, and we must be very smart, analyzing together the data and coming to conclusions for the best benefit of our investors. So when you ask me, it's moving fast. We would like to be faster even in some cases, but it is what it is. But just to putting that into perspective, if you reflect yourself and think about who were the top 5 retail tenants 10, 15 years ago and what it is today, these are 2 different lists of tenants. And I'm telling you, in 5 years' time, it will be again different. And
how different?
And that's our responsibility to investors to follow the changes and be ahead of the curve to just make sure that we strive for the best.
How will it change in the next 5 years? In what are customers interested right now, and in what's the future? For example, usually when we discussed about the shopping center, the hypermarket or the supermarket was a big anchor. Then fashion. Is it now the entertainment more important than fashion, for example? Or which domains are more important to your customers?
You are very right. Early days of retail in that part of the world was a hypermarket anchored to a small mall. and then the malls became bigger than the hypermarkets, and then the hypermarkets started to downsize, and then we have introduced entertainment to shopping centers, and there we are. So to answer your question, I think it's ability to offer to our customer a bit of everything in the best manner they can imagine. So when we speak about fashion element, it has to be the top tenants that are there in the market. I don't want to mention the names over there, but we know what's trending today. Same with entertainment. Think about what we do in Bucharest. We'll have the proper commercial theater, but the cinema as well. So we'll have the mix of fixtures that will allow or enable our customers to come back to our shopping center for whatever reason they have. Today they want to go to cinema, tomorrow they want to go to do fashion shopping. They need to have this offer in Promenada, and they will have. So that's number one. And number two, what's the big change? It's not maybe a big change, but something very visible, and that is consolidation. So the leading, for example, fashion retailers, they want to have less stores when it comes to numbers of the stores, but not necessarily less square meters in the market. So they want to open bigger, better shops that can satisfy customers' experience and shopping needs, but in very selected locations. And we want to partner with them to go through that operational change with NEPI, and that will continue to do so. I think as well that e-commerce, or let's say, put it differently, omni-channel will be playing even bigger role than today, and the customers, as at the end of the day, customers are always right. They will use retail or omni-channel as a very convenient way to decide for them how they want to commute, how they want to buy, when they want it to have delivered, etc., etc. But whatever happens, whatever scenario you think about, physical properties will be playing vital role in satisfying the needs of the customers. Today, it's purely buy, go and buy. Mm-hmm. But I can imagine some of the stores being just showrooms, registering no turnovers. Why not? Of course, one needs to be able to value the property, because that would be different. And the other scenario is mix of the two. You come, you don't buy necessarily today, but you scan with your mobile, you get it delivered at home. Customer is right at the end of the day, and it is our responsibility with retailers to satisfy their needs and monetize so that the whole ecosystem of retailers and landlords can be profitable.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Thank you. Luiza, how are shopping centers adapting to these evolving customer behaviors across your retail assets in Romania and in a broader region in Central and Eastern Europe?
Yes, we're closely tracking these changes using both the internal analytics and external data, and trying to understand exactly what's happening. And I second what Marek just said about the evolution of tenant mix. What we're seeing is a renewed preference for physical stores. So there's a clear shift in customer behavior across CE that was driven by inflationary pressures, by digital maturity, as Marek said earlier, but also of growing awareness of sustainability. And this means that in Romania and in the wider CE, the rebound in footfall and sales has been remarkably strong post-COVID, but the consumer is now more selective, more price conscious and digitally engaged, which means that we need to deliver a certain type of experience. But there is also a renewed preference for physical stores as consumers seek experience-driven retail and not just transactions. I think this is very important to have in mind, because the retailers that are able to bring the two together in creating an experience both in the physical store but also in the digital world, these are the ones that are adding the most to the tenant mix of the shopping centers. We're also investing a lot together with our clients in enhancing food and beverage zones, entertainment, community engagement area, but also we are creating space for the brands that are bringing that new experience. Again, mirroring mirroring what Marek said earlier. For instance, there is at this moment we see a lot of interest into Atletica. So this is one sector in which there are lots of new brands, very posh, very special. The outdoor and health and wellness is something that is a huge trend in terms of our customer, of a younger customer. This combines together really well with this awareness for sustainability. So this is one of the sectors for which we're looking a lot in and trying to figure out the newest brands, the newest retailers, to bring them into our shopping centers so that we can offer that new experience to our customers all the time. This is pretty much it, I would say. Flexibility, again, is very important, both for the retailer but also for the landlord. In the tenant mix of the shopping center needs to change in a certain percentage every year so that we keep being fresh and being new. And the number of retailers and the type of retailers on the market, as I said, there are 90 new tenants in CE in 2024, which is an increase by 40% year on year. So there is always novelty. We just need to figure out ways to bring them to the right shopping centers in front of the right customers.
And Marek, how do you see the evolution of the food courts, the leisure zones, and the mixed-use areas in your shopping malls? Especially when it comes, for example, from an efficiency point of view?
The answer to your question is quality. We are very much quality driven when it comes to our food court zones, our entertainment areas, and we are big believers in long-term sustainability of quality, materials, finishes, and general look and feel. We are much more sophisticated as customers. But put it differently, when we sit and drink and eat with our kids, we want to be in nice areas. And I think the function of, for example, food courts of just coming, eating, and going is long gone. You want to be surrounded by not only friendly people and other customers, but friendly interiors. I can tell you an anecdote. When I was doing my studies for RICS, we went to visit shopping center in Sheffield, and then we were told that food court was so loud, the music was so loud because they wanted people to come in, out, eat, and serve next one. I mean, this sounds absurd today, but that was story of the past. Today, it's more about well-being, quality, longer time spending, increasing dwell time, etc., etc. Same happens with cinemas. And when you see our modern cinema in Promenada, we are talking to the operator about the fixtures you would have them, like kitchen for our customers, or the recliner seating area, etc., etc. This is no longer the same quality you would have seen even 5 to 10 years ago. So we are very much interested to team up with the tenants who take extra effort, extra capex to invest in the quality of what they do. Again, this is long-term game for them and for us, so we are very happy to do that. And we can see that there is financial benefit of it. If you look at our story of Sofia Paradise or of Bonarka in Krakow, and you see what we have done in common areas with the quality of it and how it has translated into the quality of footfall and the catchment and how the turnovers increased as an effect of those places becoming much more attractive to our customers, then it in turn translates into higher potential to increase the rentals because the tenants are simply generating higher turnovers and they can afford to pay better. So what I want to say is that investment in quality may be short-term, a bit not yielding, but it definitely is if you think about longer term in your shopping centers strategy. So when you look at any of the recently opened food courts, I think about Craiova, for example. This is just amazing. I mean, you put this shopping center in the capital of any European city, and you will be proud of it. I dare to say. So this is how we do it. This is what we want. Won't stop. No, the quality that preserves long-term value. That's our belief.
But how can we attract more investments from your side, from NEPI Rockcastle's side, and how do you decide where to invest and how much?
Well, this is actually a very good question, and this is for which I'm thankful because I'm working with so many great and smart people that we can together decide on what is good and what is not, what has the long-term value, where we can unlock the value, and then you end up with developments like Promenada Bucharest or acquisitions of Silesia in Katowice or Magnolia. Or put it differently, if there is credible story of growth, unlocking the growth, improving the quality, if the market conditions are as they are today, it is not the biggest challenge to invite or to unlock more capital, be that a debt market or equity market. I think more than ever, speaking to investors, be that debt or equity, not only are those investors interested in the portfolio story of the company, but as well into the quality of the teams that manage the portfolio. I think this is becoming even more visible than ever, because in the market we have had too many bad examples of wrong governance. This has never happened with NEPI, and that won't happen. So we are there to not only buy the right properties, but to attract the talent to actually take good care of those properties going to the future. So I think this is our recipe for doing well what we do, but enabling new investors to our portfolio.
What's next? So in Romania, now your biggest investment is the extension in Promenada Bucharest. What's the next project?
Well, we have 4 pillars of growth. So number one, and that's obvious, we take very good care of our 60 kids, which are our 60 shopping centers, and we always make sure there is sufficient capex to make them grow and develop nice. Number one. Number two is acquisitions. And of course, this is cyclical. The opportunities don't come every day, and we have very strict investment criteria. The opportunities will be there in the market, but I can tell you as we sit here that with the acquisition team and with the management team, we know exactly what we want. We have a list of properties that are on our wish list. So there is still a lot we can do on acquisitions, but of course, this is very dependent on the willingness of the seller. So that's number two. Number three, developments. So that's extensions, which we discussed, but we haven't discussed our new Bulgarian development in Plovdiv. Amazing assets, just amazing city, amazing project. I'm so much looking forward to get the building permit done and started. We are 45% pre-let, and we have put brakes on leasing because it just, you need to time it properly. So that's development. But obviously, how much more can you develop greenfield developments? In Poland, we already see that some cities were oversupplied, and that resulted in having to close shopping centers in Poznań, for example, Galeria Malta. So you can't develop new projects for too long. Therefore, we have came with our 4th pillar for growth, and that is investing into energy. As we are a big consumer of energy every year, running 60 properties, we thought, why don't we invest over there so we can not only be ESG friendly, which is very important and getting more and more important, but this is actually as well quite a strong and stable 4 pillar of the new income stream, and we are very much focused and dedicated to further explore. As you would know, Romania, we have installed PV panels everywhere. We are now busy developing 2 greenfield photovoltaics farms, and we have approved capex for the remaining out of Romania portfolio to carry on with photovoltaics. And as we speak, we are tendering, installing, getting the approvals, etc., to put photovoltaics on every roof where it is physically possible. To make it accretive, but as well, we are very aware of the fact that real estate is a sector that consumes a lot of energy and has the huge CO2 carbon footprint. So we want to as well, let's say, fix the world to the extent we can by being more green.
But nothing for residential? No residential investments in Romania?
Well, I would put it differently. We have a lot of properties which we buy, and with that, we buy excess of land. So we do have land bank that we need to somehow make the highest and best use of it. And you would hear and see of NEPI developing residential here and there, but that is not purposely bought sites to do the residential. It's just making use of the land bank we already have, which is in the neighborhood of our existing shopping centers. We like this sector, but there is a reason for which this is not strategical for us, and that is a recurring income. We are a dividend company. We want to collect rentals every year and want to send the money to our investors. When you sell properties, you then collect in 1 year and then you send it to your investors. But it's very difficult to make it recurring, repetitive, etc., etc. So as long as it's very lucrative for us, because that is still, then we will do it. But on the identified excess of land that we possess today next to our shopping centers.
And will the Promenada Craiova be, I don't know, maybe a mirror of the Promenada in Bucharest with a hotel and new amenities? Because also residential, because I know there was a discussion about residential also in Craiova.
No, you are very right. You are very right. I mean, residential, no-brainer. There is demand, and we can make a story of it. Would we mirror Promenada Bucharest? Probably difficult because you need to scale it to the needs of the local market. But you are very right saying we can do a multi-use development over there, and depending on the market demand, we would pace it so that it will meet the demand from the market at the year of developing. Bucharest, for obvious reasons, is much bigger, wealthier, and with that comes a much more demand for various users of properties. But Craiova, we started with shopping center. We have established new location. It is now on the map of the local catchment, and that allows us or enables or make it easier to add on other functions. Now, if you start today with resi there and resi only, different story. But once you have a shopping center which is well managed, it's nice, it's friendly to come, the value of the properties around obviously increase. So we want to capitalize on that. Therefore, we phase it so that we can make the best use of it in the right timing.
That's the future of the shopping center, of the mall, to have as many functions as possible, including a hotel, residential, swimming pool.
I think the answer is yes to most of it, but one needs to cluster the shopping centers into more urban, like Promenada Bucharest, and differentiate them from more convenient, which has very pure and basic function, which is doing quick shopping and go home. So one needs to differentiate, but we have only good or very good experience in adding new function in those downtown suburban, downtown located shopping centers, because this is where people want to live, work, and spend their time. So why not allowing that function, which then synchronizes very nicely. Retail plays nice with offices play nice with hotels, etc., etc. It's just one of those beauty situations where 2 + 2 = 5, because this is simply the effect of scale. And we have some project identified, which we will carry on to do. But as well, I mean, Craiova and some other properties, we will develop and evolve our shopping centers to, as you mentioned, to satisfy more needs of our clients. We just want them to have more reasons to come to our shopping centers.
Thank you, Marek. Luiza, talking about the role of property management in evolving in this context, also concerning ESG, how important it is and how did it change and will change?
That's a great question, Bogdan. Thank you for this. The role of property manager in shopping centers is critically important, and probably more important now than ever, especially because the consumer expectations are becoming more and more complex. So first of all, the property managers are responsible for the day-to-day operations of the shopping center, ensuring that everything from HVAC to landscaping are maintained to high standards. The operational efficiency of a building directly impacts tenant satisfaction, consumer experience, but also upholds the fund's reputation, manages risks, and supports liquidity through meticulous oversight of the cost incurred in a property. But the role of a shopping center goes beyond maintenance. It's about delivering a superior customer experience. We talked about the fact that the consumer is becoming more and more demanding in terms of the experience that he's getting from retailers and retail environments. So this is something that we need to do every day in our work. And this includes digital transformation, data insights, and smart building solutions. And also, this includes the entire marketing, specialty leasing. As Marek said earlier, the shopping center is a living organism that needs to evolve and change and become surprising and interesting every single time. And the property managers is at the forefront, playing a role in shaping the occupier, the occupier delight, and supporting the business decision of both the landlords, but also of the tenants in real time. And last but not least, property managers are increasingly involved in the financial strategy of shopping centers. They manage service charges, we track expenditures, and we also identify cost savings opportunities, which allows us to be able to support our clients with the best possible data, with real-time data, in order for them to make the best possible decisions in the operations of shopping centers. When around sustainability, the property manager also plays a critical role in implementing, monitoring, and enhancing sustainability practices in shopping centers, from environmental responsibilities to social ones. Obviously, community engagement is probably something that comes up in everybody's mind when we talk about sustainability in shopping centers, but also very important around governance. Promoting transparency, accountability, and ethical practices is something that really, really plays an important role in the operations of a shopping center. So in short, the property manager becomes the hands-on driver of sustainability, ensuring that ESG are not just a strategic buzzword, but real measurable action in every shopping center that we manage.
Thank you very much, Luiza. Thank you, Marek, for both joining us in this talk show, and hoping to see new improvements and new investments also in. When it comes to property management and shopping centers, of course, in Romania and the region.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
It was a pleasure. Very good to see you.
Very good to see you both. Thank you again. Mulțumesc din nou amândurora, mulțumesc și telespectatorilor noștri și vă doresc o zi bună în continuare. La revedere!